This week has been great for MemeCore. All the other altcoins are down, but the M token is up. The question is why? Who's buying here? Who's selling here? Will this rally continue? Let's have a look at the on-chain data, the data most people are not considering. So this is the performance this week. Here is the performance this month. An increase of almost 800%. But this is not the first time MemeCore is going up. I published a video on the token roughly 1 month ago. To be more precise, 24 days ago. And that video did not get that much love. It underperformed the average video. The average video is here in gray. And that particular MemeCore video is the line in blue. So there was very little attention despite during that time the token already outperforming massively. Because here's the problem, MemeCore gets pushed up and down regularly. It sees pumps and dumps all the time. And so the question is there a way to potentially time this? We saw a rally from 6 cents all the way to 80 cents, then a subsequent dump to 30 cents, and now the recovery. That's what we see with the recent rally. We are not going to go through the marketing jazz of the website. This is not how we can get an edge in crypto. Instead, let's have a look at what's actually going on under the hood. This is the GitHub repository. So this looks at the code changes that are made by the team over time. And just have a look at this. There aren't that many changes. Most files haven't been touched for months. Pretty much all of the on-chain trading activity happens on the Binance Smart Chain. Over here we've got 3.1 million of liquidity. In the last 24 hours, 1,400 wallets interacted with the token. There were more buyers than sellers, which leads to a rising price. But still, despite the 3.1 million of liquidity, we only have 3,300 wallets on-chain that hold the token. Now, isn't that already interesting? MemeCore is one of the top 100 altcoins according to market cap. But when you look at the holders on chain, there's less than 4,000. This is very uncommon. Those larger tokens tend to have tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of wallet holders on chain. Not so for MemeCore. So something else seems to be going on. Let's have a look at the on-chain data. So here's the number of new users versus returning users over time. Upon launch, we saw a lot of adoption, but since then, it's rather tends to decline over the last days. There are way more returning users than new users, so the existing investors are just trading amongst each other. Here is the number of buyers and sellers over time. While there are more buyers and sellers today, in general, the trend tends to decline, as in there are less wallets that interact with the token. And what we see over here is the number of retail investors versus whale investors over time. So we look at the different wallets based on their thresholds, how many tokens are in the wallet. For the chart on the left, that's a minimum of 2,000 tokens. So that's $1,000 worth of the token. That's what I'd consider retail. In the middle, it's 20,000 tokens. On the right, it's 200,000 tokens. Really, there aren't that many holders on chain, right? There's only 155 retail holders that hold MemeCore on the Binance Smart Chain. The number of holders in general is already pretty small, but when we filter this further by an ownership of at least $1,000, it's only 155. And again, MemeCore is the 90th largest cryptocurrency, right? It's among the top 100. Still, it only has 155 holders on chain that have at least $1,000 worth of it. Isn't that strange? Those price jumps start to make sense, right? They seem to look like manipulation, potentially. But how are cryptocurrencies like this manipulated? It's mainly via perpetual futures. It's by bets on the price, leverage on the token. Most trading volume on the spot market, despite being very small, is still on the Binance Smart Chain, 10.6 million. But much more trading volume happens on the perpetual futures. Have a look at this, 278 million worth of trading volume on Binance. So really, the perpetual futures is where all the capital is moved. And the spot price can easily be manipulated to liquidate people on the perpetual futures. This is what I believe is going on. Because have a look at this. When the price of MemeCore went up the last time to those 80 cents, there was a lot of short interest. The perpetual futures traders were betting on falling prices and they got short squeezed. They got pushed out of their positions. Just have a look at the liquidations at the peak. There was 4.2 million worth of liquidations on a single day. And once all those liquidations happened, the price tended to deflate again. I have a look at the open interest and how much this correlates with the M price. When everybody is betting on falling prices, the spot market sees more and more purchases and the shorts get squeezed, they lose their money. The people that bet on falling prices lose their money. And those forced liquidations lead to a decline in the open interest, in the amount of bets on the price. And now we see again how the price increases, how open interest slowly increases, how the funding rate turns slightly negative again. And the cycle is repeating itself. The trading volume on the perpetual futures is going up. And that's now the final question. How much higher will MemeCore go again until everybody gets squeezed out? Right now, it seems like the short interest starts to build up again. The trading volume starts to build up again. The open interest can potentially double and triple again, and so can the price. Here's MemeCore relative to the BNB. And historically, we have seen higher prices of almost 100% above the current level. And I would not be surprised at all if we see the exact same kind of rally happening again. Another short squeeze is in the making. I'm not getting tired to mention this. This is the performance of the smaller altcoins in the last year. Pretty much everything went down, while Bitcoin performed very well. Here, just as a reminder, right? Bitcoin in the last year doubled in price. How many of the smaller and more risky altcoins were able to compensate that risk, to actually outperform Bitcoin? This is 100 tokens here on the screen. We've got this outperformer over here. We've got this outperformer over here. All the rest underperformed Bitcoin in the last year. This is 100 assets, so 98 out of 100 assets did worse than Bitcoin. Now there are two potential ways to deal with this. We could either just become Bitcoin maximalists. We just buy Bitcoin, maybe Ethereum and Solana, that's about it, and we forget about all of those other altcoins. But there's also a second way, and that is to take advantage of this mispricing. In the last 3.5 years, the market cap of the altcoins underperformed Bitcoin by 77%. And the reality is even worse than what this chart here implies, because again, this is a comparison of market caps. The Bitcoin market cap versus the market cap of the altcoins. But when we invest into an altcoin, we don't get the performance of the market cap. We get the performance of the price, and there can be a big difference. Usually there is a big difference. This is WorldCoin. This is the market cap of WorldCoin over time. And this is actually not that far away from the all-time high. But compare this to the price development of WorldCoin during the same time. This is very far away from the all-time high. And this is in the end what the retail investor is getting. Why is there this discrepancy? It's because of the tokenomics, right? It's more and more tokens that hit the market. It's the insiders that are cashing out. It's the early investors, the VCs that are cashing out. It's the team that's cashing out. So the teams get more and more tokens allocated towards their wallet, right? They get vesting unlocks, and then those unlocks get sold. So this is the WorldCoin supply over time, right? It moved from 500 million to currently 3.6 billion, more than a 7x in supply. That's what's causing this massive difference. That's why investing in the smaller altcoins is such a bad idea long term. That's why 98% of the altcoins did worse than Bitcoin in the last year. And this is a structural problem of the altcoin market, right? Everybody can launch an altcoin. Everybody can set up any kind of vesting unlock. The supply can grow however it wants. There's no laws around this. There's no regulation around this. And so of course, the average retail investor gets milked over time. The altcoin market needs at least around 500 million, potentially more than that, maybe 600 million in US dollar inflows every single week in order to keep the prices just stable, right? This is the unlocks across the tracked tokens on this website. Without the demand coming into the altcoin market at that rate, we continue to see this kind of development because again, there's just constant sell pressure happening. And so let's say our thesis is that this structure will not change, right? That the VCs will continue to dump on the retail investor, that the insiders will continue to cash out, that most small altcoins will continue to do worse than Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. We could just stay away from the altcoin market as a whole, or we could try to make money from that. And that's what I'm personally doing. I try to take advantage of this opportunity. I'm trading in this way already for more than 4 years. And what we're seeing over here in black, that's my performance that I made compared to if I had just dollar cost averaged into Bitcoin. So dollar cost averaging is in light gray, and the black line, that's what I made. And this is just monthly data out of my personal Excel sheet. It's close to 4 years of data now. So the TLDR is that I bet on relative valuation. So I bet on Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana going up, and I bet on all of those crappy small altcoins to go down, relatively speaking. I do 2 positions at the same time. Long, one thing, short, one thing. So in the end, the position is delta neutral. It's not impacted by the overall market that much. I used to do this with borrowing and lending platforms like Aave and Venus Finance. Now, recently, in the last 2.5 months, I moved this to perpetual futures. And that experiment is going very well. So here's the development over time. I started with 40K in balance and that moved to 60K. So 50% of return in roughly 2.5 months. And there wasn't too much volatility along the way while making those gains. I am sharing my own trades as well. So that example of WorldCoin, right? I actually made money from that. So I posted how I was betting on falling prices of WorldCoin, how the tokenomics of WorldCoin aren't that great, and doing a relative valuation bet might make a lot of sense. And so that was when the price was over here, and of course the rest is history. WorldCoin relative to Ethereum went down by 40%. And if you then have smart leverage, right? Leverage that is limited in risk because of the use of stop losses, etc., we can make a lot of gains. So this is then when the community copy traded that particular position. Yeah, I always like these kinds of comments, right? Premium has already paid for itself, etc. But the community does not just copy trade me, right? There's all kinds of opportunities, and those opportunities are shared in the different chats as well. And so there are 2 ways to go about this, right? Either you just learn it yourself, you do the active trading, you figure out what kind of altcoins are incredibly inflationary in nature, which kind of altcoins tend to go down versus Bitcoin the fastest, then exchange the ideas with the community and open up the positions yourself. So that's the best approach if you don't yet have that much capital, but you do have some time. So there are 2 essential videos for that. There is this one here, using perpetual futures on Hyperliquid to bet on relative valuations. And there's this video over here, risk management with relative valuation bets on Hyperliquid. So that is 2 tutorial videos among a database of all kinds of exclusive content. And so that's the do-it-yourself approach, right? That's currently $125 per month. And if you don't like premium, just message me within the first week and I'll refund you 100%, no questions asked. But if you're among the people that have a lot of capital, but not that much more time, that maybe have to focus on a high-paying job or on a business, and it simply just want to allocate towards that strategy, then you can also just automatically copy trade me. This is still somewhat experimental, right? We just started this 2.5 months ago, but that's reserved to the people that subscribe to the annual membership, where, by the way, you also get savings of $250 per year. You can start out with monthly and then upgrade to yearly later, or if you don't want to learn from the very beginning, just start out with yearly, that's fine too. You will get all the instructions on how to deposit to the capital pool, and then all the trades that I make will automatically reflect towards your capital base as well. Of course, I don't have the guarantee that we continue to make money, but in general, I do believe that the odds are on our side. Again, we make money when the altcoins continue to do worse than Bitcoin and Ethereum and Solana. And I do believe that's a structural problem with the market. There's constant sell pressure across the board, and some assets are worse than others. And that's where the real outperformance is, right? It's not in the common strategies trying to find the next 100x altcoin, right? This is how everybody gets burned. This is how everybody loses their funds. Please don't make that mistake. Please do something different to the masses, right? If you do the same things as the masses do, then you get the same return as everybody else. And again, returns are very much concentrated towards just a few players in the market. The vast majority of people loses, especially trying to find the next 10 or 100x meme coin. A link to premium should pop up directly over here on the screen. Just click on that. It will lead you directly to the website. If it's your very first time here, feel free to subscribe. I publish these regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you next time on YouTube, or see you in premium. Cheers.